We're going live. Hey, hey, hey. Folks, as people start to join us, I'm going to add Aiko to our um, live. Happy Wednesday, y'all. Um, don't mind me. I've been doing a lot of talking lately, so the voice is a little scratchy, but I'm okay with it. Now, okay. I think I did that right. I'm not going to close it down. Um, But how are y'all doing this Wednesday? I am super, super excited. Yay!
Hello.
Hi!
How are you?
I'm doing good. I did it right. I was just like, I don't know if I did it right, but I did it
I know I've never done this before, so
right. Oh, well, welcome to Instagram Live.
yes.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm a little bit nervous since I've never done a live before, but it's gonna be great, and I'm super excited that we're doing this.
Okay. First of all, don't be nervous. This is just a conversation that we have had before. Now we just have some folks that are going to be popping in and asking questions and things like
Yeah.
that. And please, people, as you come in, say hi. We want to say hi to you, but also drop any questions you might have. Give Aiko a little bit of encouragement because she is awesome. But we're going to be talking about monthly period underwear, which honestly, love those things. Okay, I need to order more. I keep saying that, but I actually need to do it. So cool. I'll give myself just a slight bit of introduction and I'll introduce you, Aiko. So I am Dr. Sharose, owner of Rose Pelvic Physiotherapy, your pelvic ally, located here in Huntsville, Alabama. And I'm a pelvic floor physical therapist, mouthful of all the things that I have behind my name. And I met Aiko at an awesome event and conference, but I'm going to let you introduce yourself first before we get into that.
Yeah, for sure. So, hi everybody. I'm Aiko. I run monthly period underwear company. If you haven't gotten that just yet. I started a few years ago running a nonprofit focused on fighting period poverty, and that combined with my own unique experience with periods as someone that has pelvic floor dysfunction, really encouraged me to start my brand. I have heard from all different period experiences from folks with PCOS and endometriosis to people that experience gender dysphoria. And one thing really echoed in their stories with me is that we all have periods that are hard to manage. And so that's why I started Monthly as a company that really sees folks that have hard to manage periods and helps them be more comfy.
Oh my goodness. So that is what you said over and over again at this LGBTQ conference in Birmingham that we met at. And first of all, you were using words I truly do not hear out in the wild, right? Like, you're like PCOS, pelvic floor dysfunction. I was like, who is this person? I need to meet them. But it's real.
It really is. And I would say, like, I mean, before I got diagnosed with pelvic floor dysfunction, I didn't know much about it. It's not like a popular conversation topic. I had learned about like endo and PCOS way before pelvic floor dysfunction, and my doctor didn't even want to diagnose me with pelvic floor
Mm.
dysfunction originally. And so it's taken a lot of learning to like get these words, understand the conditions, and like honestly, being diagnosed, I think I was like 22 or 23. I was just like, what? I didn't even know that that could happen. I didn't even know that that could just happen to people. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely an important conversation. And the more I've been talking about pelvic floor and PCOS endo, I'm seeing communities of people having these conversations, which makes me really happy. Folks like you that are saying, like, hey, this happens. And if it's happening to you, here's what to expect or here's what you can do.
Yes. And honestly, pelvic floor dysfunction is something that, there's no age on it, right? I see folks from teenagers onwards and up, and people are just like, but I haven't had any kids, I shouldn't
Yeah.
be having these issues. And that's just not the case. You don't have to have children. It could be at any age, and it can look so different.
Yeah.
So I was blown away by it. Like, yeah, these terms are things that people are learning later on, but I feel like social media has been a blessing, honestly, for my field. I think even for you in being able to spread the awareness and understanding of what pelvic floor dysfunction might be, PCOS, endometriosis, and then managing periods within all of that.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely, when I first got started on TikTok, I came across a few different creators in all of these different spaces, you know, the gender dysphoria space, PCOS, endometriosis, and specifically for me, the pelvic floor dysfunction or vaginismus space.
Mm-hmm.
It was so uh, kind of like liberating to feel like other people get this. Like it wasn't just me. You know, I wasn't the only one having pelvic floor dysfunction at 22. There's other people that are experiencing this, and they're living with it, and they're having like a good quality of life, or they're on their way to getting there. And I think that's what I try to do with monthly is just like help people feel seen because it makes a world of difference when you don't feel like it's just you going through something. You don't feel like it's just you experiencing gender dysphoria, just you like cramping every month at like an abnormal amount. Um, that community I think is just so important in this space because it can
Uh,
feel really isolating to go through anything like this.
Absolutely. And especially if you like you don't know the words and you haven't seen anyone else doing it. You're on TikTok, you're heavy on TikTok. And I applaud you. I found my lane, I stayed in it, but I appreciate you crossing the waters over here to Instagram with me.
Yeah.
But social media, TikTok, Instagram, I hear it almost every day where someone's like, hey, I saw this. Is this appropriate? Should I be doing this? Or, I've met some of my most amazing colleagues and friends, honestly, from social media.
Yeah.
So that awareness and community that we can get that isn't local sometimes is awesome. Um, but let's get a little bit into monthly. So I I have the period underwear and they're super comfy. I shared a video last night about it. There's what do you call them, right? They're buttery.
Yes.
That's what we call it. You call
They're like
yes.
buttery fabric.
They are so soft. How did you like? I know finding something that was comfortable, something that can be inclusive, and I absolutely love that because the design really is made for anyone who has a period,
Mhm.
anyone who's menstruating, and it doesn't have to be within the binary or anything like that. So how did you really come up or decide that this was something that you needed to do?
Yeah, like I mentioned, I was running the charity project. I was, trying to provide pads and tampons to folks in the community that couldn't afford them. And there came a point where it was really tough to run a
Mm-hmm.
nonprofit. I mean, you're everything's based off of donations, and when those slow, and I knew that I needed to do a pivot around that same time where I needed to do the pivot. That's when I started having symptoms of pelvic floor dysfunction. I didn't know it was pelvic floor dysfunction at the time, but I was just like, what the heck is happening? Why can't I use my menstrual cup anymore? Because I loved my menstrual cup. Like that thing went with me everywhere. And I had to sit back and be like, this is causing me pain. I need to find something different. As someone that I really love sustainability. I tried period underwear and I loved them, but I didn't love everything about them. Um, like all the moving parts around the same time, one of my friends who is trans had reached out and said it was my first experience ever talking and understanding gender dysphoria. And I was like,
Oh.
dude, that's not fair. Like that there's a feminine care aisle, that period products are all pink and purple, and why like there's so many facets of period products that haven't been upgraded that make people uncomfortable. It's the period underwear that feel like shapewear. Why?
Yep.
I mean, I know that's for some people. They like it that way, but it's the different features of things that weren't really sitting right with me. And once I started hearing about other people's period stories, because I did tons of customer discovery, I think we talked to and or surveyed nearly 250 people before designing it, and I was really getting a feel for what people were looking for. And the most upsetting part for me was 80% of the people I heard from had a complaint to make about their period product. And I was like, we spend so much of our lives menstruating that was just unacceptable for me and all these people. So that's really what pushed me to create the period underwear. And it was really listening to other people's stories and feeling really called to make a gender inclusive product, really just from understanding gender dysphoria. So that's why we're gender inclusive. But the comfort part was really big for us,
Yeah.
because everybody just wants to be comfortable.
Like the time when you're menstruating and you have your period is so uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
Or it can be. Why would we be in anything that makes us any more uncomfortable?
Yeah.
You know, when I talk with people and we talk about period products, they're like, oh, I don't wear pads because they feel wet.
Yeah.
I don't like tampons because you have to change them frequently or they're uncomfortable or they
Mhm.
vaginismus, right? That
Yeah.
inability for insertion
Yeah.
really could just not be possible. Cups or disc, those can scare people sometimes. And, if they have any type of IUDs or, birth control, then the suction of it may be some concern. So
Yeah.
when you really think about it, the products, just don't fit everyone. and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so having period underwear, truly just like putting them on, not having to worry about that wet feeling,
Yeah.
because the absorbency is so good. Y'all, I am not being dramatic. It's so good. So you don't have that wet feeling. You don't have to worry about inserting anything. You don't have to worry about smell
Yeah.
either, because that can be a concern too. So taking all that into account, and then the inclusivity of it. Like, as a loved one of a transgender person, that is a huge part. Dysphoria is so real, and it can come from things that we really don't think
Yeah.
about, right? Like, and so having something that you don't have to think about, how am I going to get this product in the bathroom that these noises aren't,
Yeah.
normal for this bathroom.
Yeah.
And having to have those concerns is really something that, as a cis person, I don't think about.
Yeah.
And so having this product here and being able to see your why behind it and knowing that there's so many people who are going to benefit from it, like, I love it. That's why I'm here. That's why we're here. Yes, if people, I mean, y'all, buy these underwear, please. That's all I gotta say. Just buy these underwear.
Support small.
But let's talk about sizing, right?
Yeah.
Because what sizes do they run in?
So we have a double extra small to a double extra large, and we actually are in the process of updating and reordering. So we are running out of a few sizes, but they will be back. They will be back, back and better than ever.
Yes.
But I made that decision. One, as a startup with limited funding, I was recommended by everyone to just do a small through large, and I was like, three sizes, like, no, I
It's not
didn't
enough.
feel, and it's not enough, and I didn't feel good to just offer that. So stretching the budget, I did what I could, and I hope to expand to a bigger size range, but the extra small, because I wanted to be inclusive of kids that start their period in elementary school, and
Mm-hmm.
they deserve comfy periods too. I mean, we all have a period story, and I mean, growing up, I was terrified of tampons because my mom didn't teach me how to use them, but like shamed into using them nonetheless. So like, let's give kids something that they can wear and feel comfortable in and feel confident and affirmed in. And then up to double extra L. I just wanted to be size inclusive, and then the fabric is super stretchy,
Mm-hmm.
so it really is how you want it to fit. And that was something big for me because I've had period underwear that have like cut off my like felt very tight on my legs, or different things. And so the point of the size range was just so there was ability for people to have flexibility and find the size that's right for them.
Now that is so, like, the extra small, right? That, thinking of younger kids, and like, I was 11 when I started my period, which is so tiny, so
Yeah.
small. That waist was very, very tiny. I
Yeah.
dream about that waist. No, um, just kidding. I'm just kidding. But it's real in the sense of like having to wear those big old overnight pads and worrying about a print, and tampons were not an option because my mom was just like, no, that's not what we do.
Yeah.
Um, and I didn't use them until I was an adult, and I definitely didn't know how to do it. But that's real. And some of the very first experiences that people have with pelvic floor dysfunction is actually that first time that they try to use a tampon.
Yeah.
That's where they attempt it, and it's super painful, but they have to, right? They have to
Yeah.
swim, or they need it for whatever reason, and they just kind of push through it. And that's kind of the very start of when people might be able to remember any type of dysfunction that they've had in their pelvic floors.
Yeah.
The second thing might then be like having their first pelvic exam from their gynecologist. So those moments are super important. Having something that isn't terrifying, because at that age you might not be wanting to try to insert anything, and a ginormous pad might not be
I
where you
know.
want to be.
when when some folks are starting their period as young as 8, and I was having a conversation with a friend who has a daughter a few months ago, and she was just saying, I explained tampons to my daughter and she was just like, Mom, what? Like, what? Because
Yeah.
it's really daunting as like a kid to think about using a tampon. But like you said, swimming, or in my case, like, I don't know, pads had like a taboo again. It was like pads are dirty, like humongous bulky
Hmm.
diapers. Like, if you are cool, you're gonna be using a tampon. Which, how, like, I mean, as an adult, how silly does that sound? Like, if you're cool, you're gonna be using this one product.
Oh,
But
I remember those days.
and I like
Oh,
didn't want my loud like pad rustling in the bathroom, like the constant worry that somebody's gonna be able to tell that I was wearing a pad. Just like the over embarrassment that came with periods because of the
yes.
stigma in like high school and middle school. Um, and I mean, now as an adult, I switching to period underwear was like the best decision I ever made, and it really changed my periods forever. But like, I wish, like, I started really late at 15. I wish I could, 15-year-old, 14, 15-year-old Aiko had period underwear and didn't give a crap what the cool girls were using.
Oh, can I tell you, 15-year-old Sharose was wearing diapers because I was bleeding so heavily. I was wearing adult diapers because that was the only thing that could absorb the volume that I needed
Yeah,
without having to worry about changing a pad, and tampons weren't a thing. So that was more acceptable, right?
yeah,
Or not even, but it was better than the other options,
yeah,
which I truly look back at that now and I was like, oh my God, had, you know, any of my friends seen me in an adult diaper at 15, 16 years old, I would have been mortified.
yeah,
Um, as an adult, I've worn adult diapers because I had kids, and
mhm,
frankly, that's just the best method of
yeah,
postpartum that you can have.
yeah,
But it's just honestly, that's just kind of like it's period underwear, but just in a different method, and it's made specifically for your menstrual cycle. So it's just looking back and understanding that there's so much shame and just embarrassment around the things that 50% of the population does.
yeah. The products you have to use for your body. It's like there was like one product and there everybody was like, okay, this is what it's gonna be. But everybody has a different body. That's why when I make videos on TikTok and I talk about period underwear, um, sometimes I'll make like funny videos, but I'll always put in the disclaimer like there is zero judgment if you do
Mm-hmm.
not like period underwear or you do not use them. If you still use pads, if you still use tampons, if you like period cups, if you like discs, like everybody's product and body is going to be different, and it's really finding what works for you without feeling shame about it, because I mean, you got to find what works for you and be confident in being comfortable in the way that it works for
Yeah,
you.
and having those options. Honestly, if you don't know they exist, right, that's half the battle.
Yeah.
Is like knowing it exists and that it may not be for you. You don't have to, jump right into it and say, hey, this is the only thing I use. But, during a certain day in my cycle, it might be the best option for me before it gets lighter or before it gets heavier. So just having options, honestly, is really what you need, because one thing isn't going to fit every person, but it's going to fit a lot of people
Yeah.
who need this product. Um, so then tell me a little bit about you, Aiko, like, because you are not in Huntsville. You are also not in Birmingham.
I'm not. I'm based in Mobile, down here on the coast. My dad was military, but I came to terms that I'm an Alabamian. I mean, I've lived here probably for the past 18 to 20 years. I'm
Well,
26.
yeah.
So, wasn't born here, but I was definitely raised here. I mean, I've lived in Dothan, Montgomery area, now Mobile. So I feel like I've been kind of across Alabama, and I've grown to love it. I used to really dislike being from Alabama,
Mm.
but now I see the positive of like getting to be a part of positive change, getting to find community here, um, and like the event in Birmingham, being able to find people that are like-minded and
Hmm.
not like letting the stereotypes and the heaviness that can sometimes be in the state weigh me down and just yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we can truly talk about the heaviness of Alabama, right? There are so
Yeah.
many rights and things that are becoming under attack, and it can be so heavy, but also realizing that someone has to fight for the things that we know are right, so the things that people deserve. And that's why when I tell people I work here, I've been here until 5 years now. And so when I say Alabama, they're like, oh, you know, and I'm like, well, someone's got to do it, right? Like,
Someone's got to do and get to know the people.
get
Like
to know the
a
people.
lot of people that aren't from here, my partner's from the UK, so I go over there and I have a lot of these conversations. It people get a certain idea when they hear Alabama, but when you really come here and you get to know the people and you have conversations with folks, I mean, there are so many passionate people in this state that are passionate
Yes.
about change, that are passionate about making life better, um, that work every day towards this stuff, you know? And I'm glad we met at the conference because that was one of those moments where
Yeah.
I really needed to be reminded that, hey, there's folks in the state that believe in you and you believe in them. And I
Hmm.
think we really, I mean, we have a long way to go, but there's so many supportive people in this state.
Absolutely. That was honestly um, that conference, the LGBT conference. I'm not crying, though I do sometimes cry. My eye is watering
Mine was
crazy.
earlier too, so don't worry. If I'm doing this, it's because my eyes constantly water all the
Beautiful.
time.
I've been known to cry, so you know sometimes I gotta let people know. But when we met at the conference, that was one of the things that because it can get so discouraging, especially when you're super far away from people, and when you're doing affirming care and inclusive type of
Yeah.
service-based service or product. It can be a little bit lonely if you don't have people who are directly around you, and so
Hmm.
you can get worn down. But finding those spaces to be able to get the encouragement and keep pushing because it's a fight. Like even for your TikToks, you don't get love every time you post something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like some people have some very I've read through some of them even on Instagram, right? And some of the comments are just so ignorant and
Yeah.
misguided, and you handle it really well, but that can wear you down over time. Like, oh.
Definitely. And I'm really grateful for the community I've been able to even make here in person in Mobile and just like having friends that are supportive of this. Like I think sometimes like this product would be way easier to build and do in California or New York, where like
Absolutely.
most people get it, you know? But that just never felt like it was in the cards for me because we still have such a taboo around talking about periods
Mhm.
and women in AFAB health. And we have such large disparities across the state that there's nowhere else that I would rather be building this. So whether I move on to, move with my partner in the UK or end up somewhere else, I know for me that there will always be monthly presence in Alabama and we will always be headquartered here for that reason. Because, like you said, someone has to do it. And like the way that like 4 years ago, when I first got started in the nonprofit, I was talking to a grown man who had just told me about, helping raise his two daughters. And he asked me what I did for a living, and like uttered the word period, and his fingers literally went like this and was like, I don't want to hear about that. This is like the motivation of like, yes, we need to keep having these conversations.
Oh, like, isn't it wild that he's raising two daughters who, at some point are going to have a period and he can't even have a conversation about it. Now, I've seen obviously the dads and parents out there who are, championing their children and helping them along the path of having their first period and things like that. Because, I mean, I just think of my first time. Oh my goodness, I knew what was happening, but I was just like, I can't tell anyone. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't even want to tell my mom. And I have an older sister, and she started her period way later than I did. So I didn't even have like a roadmap
Yeah.
of like this is what might happen.
Yeah. You were the first.
Oh my goodness. I remember there was one time I was clearly on my period and I very much lied. And my mom's like, I don't know. I think you might need to change your, patterns. And I was like, no, I'm not on it. I don't know what you mean. I have no idea. She's like, I think you're bleeding through. Yeah, you know.
Okay.
But it was just the shame around it and not talking about periods. And then, of course, Alabama. Listen, I'm originally from Florida. I've lived in Alabama. I've lived in Texas. The South, we don't talk about periods. We don't talk about sex. We don't talk about the things that, really we all experience in some way or another.
Yeah.
But there's a shame. Sometimes there's religious things around it. So finding a space where you can openly ask questions, talk about stuff, feel affirmed even, is huge. And the passion that you have for everything that you do, like, oh, I'm like, if I'm gonna have to go to war, Aiko needs to be there.
Hey, I'm ready to join the war. Whatever we gotta do. Whatever we gotta do to make sure everyone has medically accurate menstruation information.
That's it. Just accurate,
Yeah.
because there's something, anyway. But okay, I have a random question for you.
Yeah.
So if you had, say you had 2 hours for a lunch with anyone you could dream of, who would it be?
I think I'd have to choose my grandmother.
Mm.
She I helped take care of her before she passed, and she actually passed right before I got my first samples of my
Oh,
product. So like she
oh.
supported me through the whole thing, bought t-shirts, like did what she could and really believed in me, and she was like, "You go for it." Even if that meant like not having a regular job and, floundering a bit in the beginning.
Hmm.
I would love to have like a 2 hour lunch with her and just be able to share with her like everything that's happened because it's kind of
Oh.
crazy.
Okay, that is very sweet. You almost got the tears there. But good, grandmothers, I mean, the support that they give us is huge, and being able to show her now. Oh, okay, I'm gonna hold it together. I'm gonna hold it together.
I don't know, my watering eyes that never stop.
Um, so okay, let's say then, what would you say is your happy place in Alabama? Like, where would you just be able to disappear for hours?
So, many ways I could answer this. I'll give two. So, Birmingham, every time I go to Birmingham, I'm just like, this is like so cool. No matter where I travel in the world, I always feel weird, like at home
Okay.
in the South, like with other people that are from the South, because there is, cultural differences.
Hmm.
And so when I'm in Birmingham and I'm like going to like an art opening where people are like selling their ceramics or going to get ice cream or doing this different stuff, I feel like I'm surrounded by people that get it.
Hmm.
And I don't necessarily feel that way in Mobile all the time. Birmingham is just like it's growing. It's got this beautiful community that's like coming together, and I just feel good when I'm in Birmingham and I'm exploring. There's things to do and there's people to talk to. And then I'm a serial hobbyist now. That was my 2024 goal, was to try a
Hey,
bunch of different things. And so down here in Mobile at home, tennis all the time. I play tennis all the time now. I'm
wait,
like obsessed with
tennis, not pickleball?
not pickleball tennis. Tennis. Look, I got a racket, I got tennis shoes, I got the skirts. I really bought into this thing, and I've made friends through it, and I'm just always playing tennis, but also the beach down here. We have the Gulf State Park down here, so you've got like multiple little different biodiversities going on, and just getting a bike and riding through the park or being at the beach. Be careful, shark attacks are happening right now, but being at the beach um is just it's beautiful to like reconnect with nature, which is a beautiful thing that we have in all across Alabama. Is there's lots of nature to see.
There's so much nature. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest, I'm very jealous of the beach. I do. I swear, I was just talking about this yesterday. I miss the beach so much from
Yeah.
Florida. Outside of my family, that's probably the only thing I miss from Florida. But I do just miss that ability to just go to the beach, be in nature, feel the sand, the wind, the
Yeah.
smell. But you're right. All throughout Alabama, we do have the nature. My favorite place here in my house, which is where I'm at right now, but is my patio outside.
Yeah.
Sitting out there, it's screened in so the mosquitoes can't get in
Yeah.
because we also have that in Alabama.
Yes.
Um,
Use the screen or you don't have to drown in bug
that's
spray.
right.
That Just two options.
But I also, it's so funny. Literally, like 2 weeks ago, I didn't realize that people could hear the sounds of my outside, even with headphones. And so someone was like, I love those bird sounds. And I was like, oh, you can hear that.
But it's so lovely, like just being outdoors, even like on a patio, because I go on my patio a lot too. Like I said, my partner's from the UK. It's gray there a lot, and we are really lucky down here to have like so much sun.
Hmm.
I know it gets really hot, but to me, after spending a summer in northern UK, I'm like, bring the heat, because I was wearing long sleeves there, and I was like, that's not
No,
right. Not
not in the
not
summer.
no, no. I can't live this way.
Oh my goodness. And I love that you had two parts to it. So Birmingham, being a space, is just, it really is something about an area that like creatives, um, just diversity, being
Yeah.
in a space where you can see that, experience it, and it's not, it's just it feels home. Like you
Well,
just have so many
yeah.
options that open to you.
Yeah. And you know what? I can't even say Birmingham for sure because I've never been to Huntsville in my like 20 years of living in
What?
Alabama. So, I might go to Huntsville and it might be Huntsville for me or both.
First of all, you definitely need to come to
Yeah.
Huntsville. We need to connect. I'll take you to. We have markets and things like that as
Yeah.
well. I was gonna say that, but you're right. You need to come visit Huntsville.
Yeah.
It is growing. Honestly, Huntsville is growing, and I'm grateful for that because I originally lived in Birmingham, got married there, and for me at the time of my life, it wasn't all these beautiful things that I know it is
Hmm.
now. But I also wasn't in the place to, and be a part of those beautiful things
Yeah.
either. So now I have the ability to go back to Birmingham and enjoy the things that you're talking about. And I didn't have that in the time I was there. So when we were in Dallas and we were looking at moving into Huntsville, I was like, I never want to go back to Alabama.
Hmm.
And my husband's like, well, Huntsville is different. And Huntsville is different. We're growing. We have so many new creatives, music, art that are coming here, but also who are from here and are building up the
Yeah.
scene. And it's really great to have that because, I mean, I don't know. I coming from a big city in Dallas, like there was so much stuff to do all the time, and you want that feel without it being such a big city.
Yes, I definitely, as my 16, 17-year-old self thought like New York, LA, that's like where I belong. And now that I've gotten a bit older, I really appreciate a good mid-sized city.
Yes,
Like a
it is
good
nice.
mid-sized, you're not, I mean, there's traffic, but it's not going to stop you from leaving the house kind of traffic.
Hmm.
There's things to do, but not an overwhelming amount. Like,
Yes.
like I love that. And you're so right. I mean, Alabama has changed a ton. When I used to live in Prattville, I was like 12, 13, 14, 15, and I can remember like driving up and the only thing to do was to go to the summit and go shopping. Like there wasn't all of this stuff that's going on now, and so to be able to go back, my sister goes to college there, so that's why I go there all the time. But to be able to go back and I don't know, it's just so cool to see these different cities in Alabama grow.
Hmm.
And I don't know, for me it's like, how many coffee shops does your city have? If it's more than five, you're there, you got it
Oh God,
made.
we have so many. We have so many. We have drive-throughs. Like, oh, there's so many
Yeah,
coffee shops.
sounds like I need to visit Huntsville. That's
Yes,
all it takes to win me over is a coffee shop with a matcha latte. That's it.
I have like four of them in walking distance from my office. Like, if we're rating it by coffee shops, we're there.
Yeah.
So I love that. This is how we were able to connect, but also being able to be part of the growth, part of the change that's happening. Because
Yeah.
I see Alabama is going to change some, but it's going to keep its roots because that's just how change happens.
Hmm.
But being a part of the important change, right? Being the voice out there for people who don't know that this is something they need, that, period underwear, inclusive, affirming things, and knowing that someone has your back that's going to be able to, fight for you if you need them to. So that is, I mean, that to me is what I strive to do within my practice, but what I also, felt connected to you in with monthly.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely like the moment you told me you were a pelvic floor therapist, like I felt so seen. Like I felt so seen in that moment. I was like, oh my gosh. I had a pelvic floor therapist here in Mobile who actually left and went to Birmingham. And I was
Oh.
like, no, we lose everybody to Northern Alabama. But just the intentionality you put behind your practice to be inclusive and to do this work here in Alabama and have these conversations on your social channels.
Yeah.
It, like we were saying earlier, it's tough to do, but it's so I just love to find other people that are doing it too. So I'm so happy we got to connect, and it continues to inspire me. Like when I see your posts, I'm like inspired to share more about myself and be able to be open, because sometimes like when you don't get the nice folks in the comments, it makes you want to close down and not share anymore.
Yes. I've had that. I got real vulnerable, I think maybe 2 months ago, and I was like, "Woo, this is hard," to like strangers.
Yeah.
Um, but I also knew there were people out there who wanted and needed to hear it, and so it pushes you forward. And like I said, I what I'm finding here in Huntsville, and then even throughout Alabama, is that I specifically work with the trans community with affirming care surgeries pre and post op.
Mhm.
This month of June, I'm doing a 4-part series just on trans pelvic health care, starting from basic information and just terminology. Tonight, well, no, tomorrow. Tomorrow, literally going into pre op and procedures, caregivers, and then even post op. So, bringing something for people to just get some understanding because there's so much misinformation out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just having someone who knows, an expert in it and experience in it, and to be able to say, no, that's okay, or that's probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
But that was important for me because I wasn't seeing it. And there are voices out there that are much bigger and louder than mine. And they're not telling the truth sometimes. So
That part.
I wanted to be out there telling the truth.
Yeah.
And I look forward to the day, because I know this is all evolves, but I look forward to the day where I'm having rants like you have. Okay, like I want to rant a little bit.
I do love a good rant. But seriously, thank you for providing the medically accurate information we need, right? Because like that, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I try to only share medically accurate information on my page or promote other folks that share medically accurate, because like you said, there's so many opinions and
Mm.
thoughts out there that aren't always the right thing. Like I've seen like first period videos that talk about using lots of scented products. And I'm just like, no,
Yeah.
please don't do that. A yeast infection is just waiting to happen now. Please don't
Yes.
do that. Like, let's be real with folks about vulva and vaginal health, because it's already hard
Yeah.
enough to have
It
them.
is so hard. And there's so much shame around it. And, one of the things I help folks with is BV, bacterial
Mhm.
vaginosis. And sometimes I mean, not sometimes, it really comes from a pH balance
Mhm.
within your vaginal canal, which all of us have a balance that we're maintaining
Yeah.
just naturally. So sometimes it gets off, and it can come from your period. It can come from, intimacy and sexual activity. It can come from products. It can come from many things. Scented products and soaps and things like
Yeah.
that are not great for our balance and stuff. And to see people using boric acid as a solution for, yeah, I'm like, why are we putting acid? But anyway,
I
I
know, I never
digress.
went there. I got advice from a friend to do it one time, and I was like, I feel like this is going to make things worse. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go to the doctor.
Right. But also understanding, like, but how would you know? Right?
Yeah,
How
how
would you know? Who is out
no.
here telling you if that worked for your friend? And she's like, well, this worked for me. So here you go, you try it. That's how we learn
Yeah.
stuff. So the information we put out there is super important, but also what we're using during our cycle is even more important. Those scented products and stuff like that. I think that's the best part. Like monthly, really. So tell folks, what makes your monthly underwear different?
Yeah, I would say the main thing is the gender inclusion. And then we have the really informed design based on real people and their real period experiences. So I
Mhm.
didn't like just make a product for Aiko. I like made a product that was very well-rounded. And then the absorbency layers, right? So
Yes.
from other period products, right? I have a pair right here. I can
Yeah.
pull it out. Yeah. Okay.
Show the people.
So this monthly period underwear. And what really makes us different here is our gusset, which is the actual absorbent part. I mean, we've got a cotton spandex, 2 layers of like a towel material made out of
Mhm.
polyester and bamboo that really soaks it up. And then there's a layer of TPU at the bottom, which keeps anything from leaking through. And we have ours raised so that if you are new to period underwear or you have a very irregular flow, there's no reason to be scared. You can take your backup pad with you. You know, that was one of my big things too, is because period underwear are kind of a new product, just like cups and discs. You know, it's not a
Mhm.
traditional product like pads or tampons. There's a lot of fear around trying new products, right? I mean, I know the first time I tried a cup, I was like, okay. I don't know about this. And I remember telling my grandma, and she was like, I don't know about that. You know, like the the it takes a while to get people to adopt new products. And so I really wanted it to be like the easiest learning curve ever, which is
Yeah.
why we made the floating gusset, and just so the product can be customizable. You have a heavy flow and you like to wear double protection, go for it. You have a light flow and you just you can just go for it that way, you know. So the product really is able to be unique to your experience, how you like to wear your product, period products. Um, and we made them with everyone in mind because
Yes.
people have periods.
That's it. Just people, right? Listen, when I saw the one of the layers was bamboo, I was like, ooh, you know what you're talking about here. Okay. um, so and with my two kids, we use cloth diapers. And so we had the inserts and everything like that. And the bamboo ones were the best for absorbing. Best for absorbing, like volume, but also smell, all of
Mhm.
it. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, yes, we're in the right place here, you know?
Lots of research. And then I've gotten this from the outer body of the underwear is made from recycled nylon, so they're also planet friendly too. So we're, trying to be circular here and keep some waste from landfills, both with the fabric, but also because you use less pads and tampons when you use period underwear. So that means less waste into our
Oh,
landfills.
okay, come on, saving the environment. I love it. Or at
Yeah.
least let's say preserving our
Yeah.
environment because, you know, I love that aspect of it. Now, I did meet you at a conference where you mentioned being a startup and the costs and things along with it. So I just want to put out there that monthly could always use funding, you know?
This is true.
So
This is very true.
how can people help with funding if that's something they are, led to do?
Yeah. You can always reach out to us on Instagram or any social channel or our email. So we have a contact tab on our website shopmonthly.co. The other thing is just supporting small. So like when I get orders, I like to write a note like, thank you so much for choosing monthly. As a small business, it makes a huge impact when you purchase from us. Every single sale is something that I see and I package myself. So it means a lot to get that support. And the support helps us to be able to continue to make new products and show investors that we do matter. Because being a woman-led startup is a hard thing to do. It's shocking in the state of Alabama. So
Oh, that's so real. Oh yes. Listen, being able to be so hands-on with your product and when we think small businesses, there's variations of them, but
yeah,
truly being small and supporting you. So please, y'all, definitely go to say your website one more time for me because I get it wrong every time.
you get shopmonthly.co. That's where you can find us. We've got contact page, of course, here on Instagram. I am a one-person show. Okay, so like the DM might get answered a little few days later, but I will get to it.
You know, that's real. It's okay. It'll get answered. She has like
Yes.
a maybe like week, time frame.
Yeah.
Uh, well, I want to thank you so much, Aiko, for being here and talking about monthly. So much for doing what you're doing and the inclusivity of your product. Having this conversation. I mean, we've had multiple at this point, and they've gone kind of like this,
Yeah.
where just understanding that one, we're needed in this space, we're needed here in Alabama. People are needing the services that we provide and the products. So I want to say thank you so much. You have shared your information. You can also order from my link in bio too, because I am an affiliate for
Yes.
monthly.
Yes.
So you will see all the content and things like that continuing, because I truly believe in this product for myself, but also for my patients, and then anyone who has a period. Honestly, like I do need to order more. Like I have your website up right now. I'm going to order more because I want to try the checkered pattern. Um,
It is our best seller.
it's super cute.
I'm biased. Yeah, I'm biased, but I think they're super cute.
They're super cute and they don't stretch out around your thighs, but they also don't squeeze your thighs for folks
Mhm.
like me who might have thicker thighs.
Yeah.
Um, so, honestly, y'all, thank you so much for being here. I am your pelvic ally. You can find me here at Your Pelvic Ally, but then also my website, rosepelvicphysio.com. But yeah, y'all have a good rest of your day. And thank you, Aiko.
Yeah, thank you. I'll see y'all
Bye.
later. Bye.